That was about the same time that you could press the special keys on your keyboard in like Windows Excel, and it would turn into a flight simulator before 9/11. That last story that we just covered with Waco does not tie to the next story we're going to cover, because the next story is definitely not about an extremist cult who's armed to the teeth and doing some stuff. So, you know, there's no correlation. We're just going to take a look at it. I'm sure you'll see there's no one with a end of the world type of motif that is very Wacoian, right? Because that's how that started out, right? They had a vision of the Armageddon, bringing about the end of the world, that type of thing, right? Prophecy. The next story definitely doesn't have anything to do with prophecy. So you guys can all sit back, relax, and we'll play something lighthearted after this, because this one's a little heavy on the facts. But it's relevant, and it's definitely not about an extremist cult armed to the teeth threatening people.
There's a movement in Israel that wants to bring about the end of the world. It's called the Temple Movement, and it's crucial to understanding the ultra-right wing in Israel. A few weeks ago, a group of Palestine solidarity activists were protesting Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's visit to Brooklyn. He was visiting the international headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, which is one of the largest ultra-Orthodox movements in the world. Most of the discussion of Ben-Gvir's visit focused on the attack against the pro-Palestine protesters, but what completely flew under the radar was what Itamar was even doing there to begin with. A video of Itamar's speech to the Chabad congregation showed Itamar jumping around and chanting that Israel will build a Jewish temple on top of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the current location of one of the holiest sites in Islam, Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Overrun with crime, in a time ruled by chaos. The world's #1 rock band is also the world's greatest crime-fighting team. They are the Thunder Cops. Barbariana, Triceracop, Dynamite, Hacker Man, and Kung Fury.
What are you gonna do, Kung Fury?
My job. Oh shit, Kung Fury! They're on a mission to clean up the streets. But when the worst criminal of all time unleashes an army of darkness on Miami, it's time for the Thunder Cops to take down the Kung Fury. Fuck you! And send Adolf Hitler to Adolf Hitler. Sieg fail.
Music by Kanye West. Maybe I misread that. I'm not sure. What is the penchant for Adolf Hitler, sci-fi, Iron Sky kind of movies? What is the deal?
I think it's people understanding the ridiculousness of the whole narrative and just trying to, they're like, well, we're already fed a bunch of lies. Let's just take it to gargantuan, ridiculous proportions. And when you're looking to do a bad guy in a movie, it's the one-size-fits-all punching bag, right?
Yeah, everybody knows who he is. He's already branded.
Exactly. So it's easy to just like plonk someone in there, and your one-dimensional bad guy becomes 1.5 dimensions.
It's
a little character.
It's a shame Ian Fleming didn't think of that. You know, instead of like Lashif, he could have just been like Hitler, and then you know who the bad guy is from the beginning.
It's like one of the first-person shooters was that Wolfenstein 3D game.
That's true.
It was like right when I was like 10 maybe. Like that was one of the first video games I ever played, and I was like enamored.
That was about the same time that you could press the special keys on your keyboard in like Windows Excel, and it would turn into a flight simulator before 9/11. Before 9/11, there was a hidden flight simulator in Word type of applications.
Yeah, I had no idea what Nazis were, but I just knew about Wolfenstein, and they talked really funny, like, oh, it's awesome. And I was like, well, these guys are awesome, right? I was like enamored with Nazis. I had no idea.
Say it like Butthead. These guys are awesome.
They got the rule.
Yeah, there you go.
Rule. But no, it was like, I would like dress up like that. When I was a kid, my parents were like shocked, but I was just wearing the guys' outfits that were in the video game, right? I had no idea. So.
Shock value.
Yeah.
You know, Prince Harry, the Fiery, on his birthday, they had what they call over there a fancy dress party. He was like 18 or something, maybe 19. He was young. Fancy dress party to we Americans called costume party. And he decided he would wear a Nazi outfit as his costume. So there he is with probably a Hollywood provided realistic Nazi outfit with a swastika on there. Now, there was a big uproar and they played it dumb. However, being a student of history, I would be remiss not to inform you that Prince Harry's birthday is the same day that the Nazis adopted the swastika as their official logo. And since his family helped to fund that endeavor, I don't think that like he's left out of the loop. So that's it's like their green language. Like he knows about that connection. Do you? He's wearing the uniform. Do you know why he's wearing it and why he thought it was a good idea? It's like, you know, it's a little bit saying a quiet part out loud. But some people think the Nazis weren't really defeated in World War II. They might have still remained in control, or at least the people who put them in power in the first place have remained in control, command and control. Or maybe they've been under a state of blackmail for some time.
It's interesting. You've got Justin Trudeau and so many pictures of him dressed pretty much
Like
in
Castro?
blackface. I was going to say it would have been better if he dressed up for Halloween as Castro, and then you'd at least have a working model of what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anyone sees those pictures and they don't think there's something going on there, then you need glasses. I mean, and then when you see his mom with her hands on Castro like that, and that's their honeymoon, and then he was born 9 months later. I mean, come on. He doesn't look like Pierre. Nobody has ever made the claim that he looks like Pierre. Pierre is a bald guy, or was a bald guy back in the day, right? And Justin has a coif very much like Fidel. Anyway, it's not our country. Oh, that's your country. I guess you do have to worry about it. But you got the Connie.
This
You know
circus
what's-
has its
that-
carny.
The line is, I remember, you know what scares me? Connies. So I don't know what Mike Myers movie that was, but we've been trying to track
It
it
was,
down.
it was Austin Powers. Yeah.
Austin
I'm pretty
Powers.
sure
There
it's
you go.
this one, yeah.
There you go. We might have tracked it down now.
But yeah, that Kung Fury movie is probably not going to come out anytime soon. It was shot 5 years ago, and it's just stuck in lawsuit hell because there's apparently
Too many Tango and Cash references.
yeah, there wasn't enough product placement. The Pentagon's like, this isn't honoring the president. We need to rewrite your script. No, it's I guess one of their business partners was supposed to come through with some cash, and they've put an injunction on the film, and they're like, it's one of those things where art gets mixed up with money, and then the legal world paralyzes that art. So that 10 minutes that we just watched has actually been somehow snuck out
Leaked.
or leaked.
It's been O'Keefed.
It's been okay, similar to Deadpool in before that movie got going. They leaked some footage and then stimulated some response, which then got things to go forward. So who knows? I just thought it was a funny counterpoint to the heavy story of these Zionist extremist guys who, you know, want us to worship them.
I'm just waiting for the ATF to invade Israel.
So I think it's interesting that Israel's running the exact same bag of techniques on their population as that.
That
we're
is not
running
what
on
you were
ours.
supposed to get from those two clips playing together, Howard. I don't know how you drew those conclusions. Did you buy the jump to conclusions, Matt, from Office Space? What are you talking about? Those two unrelated stories.
I just think there's two different religions in Israel. There's Judaism, there's Zionism, and then there's statism. So I guess there's three.
Well, there used to be Islam, but they made them like into like a prison city.
They apartheided that.
Yeah, they Cecil wrote it. Rosie
Yeah.
did. Jan smutzed it. It's a concentration camp.
We're making a lot of verbs tonight. We're creating some new grammar.
Throwing
for
it out
people.
there.
Epstein
They named
and
that one
Epstein.
guy who died suspiciously. I was like, oh, well, whatever his last name was. I was like, oh, I was going to come back with that, but I didn't feel like writing it down. But I probably should have, because then it would have been funnier than what I just said. Can't win them all.
What are the similarities you're seeing, Etienne, between Israel and America's brainwashing techniques?
Yes, Etienne, tell us.
Well, I mean, it's the same bag of tricks that all of the countries are using, but you're going to go to a mandatory government school. They've got the Cub Scouts, they've got the Boy Scouts, they've got their version of explorers. They have
Those started with Cecil Rhodes in Rhodesia. They were called
they
Levant
have
Scouts.
mandatory military service for everybody, and then once the military gets a hold of you, they put you through a variety of unethically manipulative techniques. They get you into the uniform, the single form, which is a kind of artificial, conformity. They shave your head so that you now have a group appearance instead of an individual appearance. You wear badges and patches to differentiate yourself from others. They use sleep deprivation. They use shaming. They use collective punishment. They break you down, in kind of what they openly call basic training. They're controlling the media, the information that the population receives hierarchically. I could go on and on. It's really the same.
So you're saying it's accidental?
I'm saying there appears to be a playbook that all of the countries in the world are using. Essentially, there's variations, but like you're going to go to the mandatory government school, and you're going to learn how to be a taxpayer. And there's going to be a scouting program that's going to begin to condition kids into the uniform and hierarchical command and control. And once you've gone through the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Explorers, the JROTC, the ROTC, your police and military training, you will go where you're told. You'll goose step to get there if you're asked, and you'll murder people that aren't hurting you for this, organized religion. And it's a cult. And, I mean, they're using, kind of classic cult indoctrination techniques to create shave-headed cult members willing to go abroad and murder whoever they're told by the church leadership of the cult, and then domestically, use violence on peaceful people, to either raise money for the cult or to prosecute victimless crimes. It compresses the police into this dynamic where they know they're the bad people. They know what they're doing is immoral. They've got them behind these, golden handcuffs of money that they wouldn't be able to earn, any other way. They've got gold-plated pensions. There's dozens of different techniques that the governments of the world are using on their populations. And it doesn't really, dawn on you that these are artificial, that these are unethically manipulative. One of my other favorites that's, done here in the United States, I'm sure it's done in Israel as well. Sneaky.
How do you know? Have you ever been there?
I haven't.
Okay.
I was raised Jewish. I was actually bar mitzvahed, so I could take the trip. But
You
now
have a
I'm
right to return,
spiritual.
bro.
I had the right to return.
Go
That's
get some of
right.
that land. West Bank's up for grabs right now.
I understand it's like a timeshare presentation. From what I've heard, like they get you over there, and it's like it's like the same thing you'd go through like if you've ever sat through a timeshare thing.
I have, and I got ripped
Yeah,
off.
it is a ripoff. But my favorite technique that I was about to do is, they take the flag and they weave it into the burial ceremony for the police and the military to trick you into associating your beloved, your dearly departed with the American flag. And nobody really, thinks about that. Like, what does the American flag have to do with anything?
What
But
do diamonds have to do with love, bro? It's just marketing.
it's just marketing. It's just marketing. But like that's one of my, that's one of the 20, the 25, that's really 26 techniques that we're covering. And once you see them all kind of like lined up together, one after another, you're like, oh my God, it really is. They're tricking the population, and the outcome. It's a cult. I don't want to like spoil the
You're
ending.
making a lot of
but
claims, and I want to hold the benefit of the doubt just in case there's some other facts we need to weigh on the scale. So we're gonna go to another block.
Twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Claus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Claus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come